Against, that's carried. Thank you very much, Peter.
Thanks, everyone.
Great. Russell, you're up next. Item 8.
Thanks very much, Mr. Chair. So this is the financial report for March. And being March, it's the end of a quarter, so the quarterly reports are expanded to have more detail in them. So just where we finished up at the end of March, we had a surplus of $11 million, which was almost $25 million greater than budget. And the forecast for end of year is, before carry forwards, is $14.7 million. So a number of things have driven that. So there was a significant increase from the last month, mainly through the additional subvention receipts that we received, but also the continuing savings in staff rates growth is up, as well as penalties. Higher participation in sport and rec activities is driving more income. And like I say, prior to carry forwards, the surplus is projected to be 14.7, and likely carry forwards are about 5.8, and they are signalled in item 4.4, but would leave a variance at year end of 8.9, which is, like I say, up significantly from where we reported last time. Other things to note, that the capital program, so far there's a total spent is $464 million against a budget of $516 million almost, and the forecast is $674 million against a budget of $716 million, so a variance of about $41 million, and that'll be covered in more detail in the capital program report. Treasury items, everything remains within policy. A bit more detail in the borrowing, like I say, being a quarterly report, and just in rates an overall decrease in debt, and when you look at the graph on item 9, it's a slight increase, but that's now flattening, which is encouraging. And there's some details on the insurance coverage as well as at the end of the report, more detail on the activities. So listen, I'm happy to take any questions, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much for that, Russell. That's great. Pauline had a question.
Thank you. Just on the resolution number 2, when the report comes back on these subventions that we've got a surplus there, was it 7.4 million? Will that come back with options?
Yep.
And also, what is the timing of that coming back? And should we put a date in there?
That's a great question. So,
thank you.
I wouldn't have said great. Okay. Yeah.
So what we're looking at is to come back so as we can feed that information into the LTP deliberations. Yep. That's an important aspect. So, yeah.
Yep.
And so it'll definitely be done in time for that, so we can. It might be apply it to next year, pay down debt. All of those options.
Whatever.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep. Cool. Awesome. That was a great question. Okay. Yanni. Yeah.
Thank you. I did put some questions through ahead of time, and I appreciate the staff have put some answers through. I just wanted to check on the list of the net budgeted positions that I received. The numbers that have been given are the number of staff that are the vacancies. So is it correct to think that we've got in strategy, policy and resilience 10 vacancies, and in planning and consents 15? Is that how I read that response?
It was a per head count, about 230 people, I think.
Yeah, 241 people total.
So can I just, some of the these figures, can I clarify, they are what is permanent staff vacancies. They're not actually, the positions may be filled by temporary staff or by contractors or other roles. I don't know specifically about the 2 units you're referring to, but I certainly know in customer services where there were 22 vacancies, they are full with contract and temporary staff, while staff are trained and recruited. Same across our library staff, they different rosters. So that, because that request was put in quite late, you only got very quick information, but you do need to compare the vacancy with what the budget spend is, and the budget spend, personnel spend is probably a better figure to look at to know when roles aren't filled.
Okay, cool.
So,
So
we
maybe
can get
we
you
could,
more comprehensive information
thank you.
when we have more time. But I think it was just
Yeah.
put in yesterday.
So because I know in the report that in page 30, 5.5, it talks about some operational expenditure, such as Plan Change 14, and operational expenditure funded from Better Off funding is more heavily weighted towards the end of the financial year. And then it talks about lower personnel costs, primarily driven by higher than expected staff vacancies. But then I've asked the question, how much have we spent on PC14 and how much have we got on budget? And I'm told I can't have that information until, when am I going to get the information? We don't have it yet. So, I guess I'm trying to understand, this is going to be addressed at a council workshop, but this is the financial report, and we should be able to see how much we're spending on PC14. But I can't figure that out from here. But what I can see is we've got staff vacancies in the planning unit, which makes me worried that planning stuff that we've got council resolutions to do, are not being done because we don't have the staff.
So I think what Mary said was that possibly the information that's come through is just a snapshot as opposed to providing full context.
Yeah.
So what I think the best way forward is they can get you the PC14.
So do we know? So what is the money? How much have we got on budget for PC14? How are we tracking?
I don't expect Russell to be able to answer that level of detail today. So I think your point's been well made, and the team will take it offline and come back.
Right.
But as noted, going through your questions.
And there were a lot of questions that you put through, and staff rapidly pulled those together in a day yesterday to send that through to you, but they couldn't do across the board analysis to the level
No,
that
that's
you
fine.
wanted. So
But-
we will
but-
get some information
But
to you.
I've repeatedly at this committee meeting for finance and performance for the past few months raised the concern that we are underspent.
Yanni, so we're
in
in
planning.
we're in questions. We're not in being aggressive to the council
So
staff.
so I'm just trying to understand, like, if there's things that we want done that we're told we don't have the resource for, but we've got additional budget surplus, as we can see from the report today, how do we get those things done?
So Mark can answer some of your PC14 questions today if you want them, but if you want full comprehensive advice across the board, we'll get that to you in more detail. So if you want some PC14 answers today, we can give it to you today.
So, Chair, if I can, Plan Change 14, I can give you an overall figure now, but recognise that there's an information session scheduled for the 30th of April when we can provide more detail. So the budget for Plan Change 14 for this financial year is 4.4 million. To date, we've spent 3.45 million. We are working to the budget. So by year end, we will be hitting that budget figure. That recognises that the hearings are not completed. There's still hearings are on at the moment and will continue over the balance of this month. Thereafter, the panel will deliberate and prepare their recommendations, and the panel of 5, obviously, there'll be costs associated with that. And I can provide further breakdown of that figure again at the 30th of April information session. Just expanding on what Mary said about staff vacancies, we do have staff vacancies in our area, but I would emphasise that there are 2 reasons there remain vacancies. One is in recent times with advertising, we haven't filled all vacancies. We have sought to fill vacancies, but it is a competitive market, particularly in the context of planning. The second point is we have a number of full-time positions that are held by part-time staff. So the balance that is not filled in those roles would appear as a vacancy overall, but is not a true reflection of the situation. Notwithstanding that, we will be coming to you on the 30th of April to discuss the program as a whole, the plan changes, what has been directed in terms of priorities in the past, and where we're at in terms of progress, including the matter you've raised before.
What I'm interested in, because this is the financial committee and performance committee, and this is the one that we can make decisions. Whereas my understanding from the information session on 30th of April is we cannot make decisions in an information session. So the key question I've got, which I have repeatedly raised, is if we want something to be done that we've passed a resolution on that isn't being done because we're told there's a lack of resource, what is the best way to use the surplus we have to provide resource to do it in terms of the decision that we make at a governance level?
A question for Mark. So I think you've made your point. I think what would be useful is
It's about budget decisions rather than personnel number decisions, and that's. I noted the information you
Yeah.
got back was not fully useful, but that was
Right.
timing. So I just saw that come through last night.
So should I do a notice of motion?
No.
then, or-
As I said to you, we will get you more full information when we have more time that can be looked at. It's important to look at the budget allocation rather than just the vacancy.
you, me, and Mary will have a discussion
Yeah.
after this as well.
Right. Okay.
cool.
Just the other question I had in this report is just trying to get a sense of what's happening with the organics plant. Like obviously I don't quite know how we're measuring the progress, although we do see in here on page 31 is that we've got waste operating costs, the yield to date, and the forecast. So we've got lower organics processing costs. Do we have any visibility about how that's trending with the, all the kind of complexities of the decision that we've made around the organics plant? But do we have any sense of how the money's being expended around the future option versus the ongoing operational costs?
So I think that's probably a question for Lynette, and so we'll just have to come back to you on that.
Okay. And then the final question was around the insurance claims in page 35. So 11.2, the CWP fire claim, TP fire claim, detailed repair requirements and cost estimates have been completed. Why can that not be shared with the community and with us? And if not, or if it can't, when can it be, given that it's been complete?
Yeah, so council will be briefed at the appropriate time.
Yep.
So we don't have any date for us being told or the community being told about what those...
As we've reiterated
are.
time and time again, we have to work through a confidential settlement process. But at the appropriate time, the committee and Jake, Vic, and Kelly are on it as well have made it clear that the council will be briefed. So as soon as that doesn't jeopardise the position, we'll certainly be doing that.
Yep.
So nothing's changed in that respect. The team are working around the clock. Cool. Any other questions on this? No. Jake looks like he's happy to move it. Melanie's happy to second it. Any discussion? All in favour? Against? Is anyone in favour of that? All in favour? Yeah. Against? That's carried.
Yeah.
Thank you. Great. Thank you, Russell,